I'll tell you, I really got a lucky break about 13, 14 years ago. I was mule deer hunting in western Colorado, and in fact I had just harvested a real nice 4x4 buck, about 22, 23-inch buck. It was real hot, so like any buck was a pretty good buck. And I was in the truck with my guide, and we're riding back towards camp, you know, and I'm feeling pretty good. I got my deer on the ground. Hunt's over, you know, got some bragging rights. And this guy said something to me, and I don't even remember his name. But I'm going to tell you what he said to me, I owe him a pot of gold. Money can't repay the words that he said to me. And this was the second hunt that I had been with this guy. And he looked over at me, and out of the wild blue, caught me by surprise. He said, "You don't shoot very good, do you?" I said, I mean, if he'd have slapped me, it wouldn't have insulted me anymore. And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" I mean, I got red-faced quick. You could tell. I mean, you know. But see, what happened was, this buck come up out of the bottom, stopped there in front of me, and I shot at him 3 times. He didn't know where the shots were coming from, so he just started walking off. I shot at him 3 more times, missed, and just as he's about to get away, going over the hill, I shot. Now, this is no offense. In fact, this is a term in the hunting business. This is a common term that's not meant to be a slant on Texas, you know, because I like Texas. Got a lot of good friends there. But I Texas heart shot him. Ever heard that? I shot that sucker right up the rear. I mean, blew his tail off. I mean, and it was terrible. That's not where I was supposed to be shooting him, you know. I knocked him down, and it was ugly. It was terrible, you know, and he's crawling. I run up there and finished him off, you know, but I got my deer, you know, and to me, well, that's all, you know. And the guy just said, "You know, you don't shoot very." And I said, "What are you talking?" He said, "Well, don't tell me that's where you was aiming on that deer. And that antelope you killed earlier this year, and I shot it, broke its leg." He said, "Don't tell me." He said, "You just don't shoot." He said, "Now, look, I don't want to make you mad." He said, "But I'm just trying to tell you something that'll help you because you need to improve on your shooting." And I sit there. I mean, I couldn't believe he was talking to me like this. And he started telling me. He said, "You know, you need to make sure that your trigger is lighter, and you need to do." You know, he started telling me a few things. Get a better grip. He said, "You need to get out there and practice, and you need to become a better shot before you get out here and do any more hunting." And boy, I swole up like an old big bullfrog, you know. And I'm going to tell you, well, I got in my truck, you know, and I headed out there, and I didn't even speak. It made me mad. You know, who's he tell me? You know, I've hunted all over the country, you know. But I tell you what, somewhere between Grand Junction, Colorado, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, I got so mad, and all of a sudden, like a bolt of lightning went off and a lead balloon hit me between the eyes. He was right. My shooting stunk. I shot terrible. And I had to fess up to it. I tell you, I didn't even come home. When I got back in Tulsa, I went straight to my gunsmith, Joe McCool, and I walked in. Joe said, "Hey, Roger, how you doing?" "Great, I got my buck." "Well, Joe, my shooting stinks." He couldn't believe. He said, "Well, let's go to work." And that set me off on the track towards good shooting. Let me tell you something. This is the most important thing. This is where it all starts. Number one, this is what you got to do to become a better shot. Number one, you must fess up to how good or bad a shot you are. You've got to be honest with yourself. If you're a terrible shot, you got to say, "Man, I'm a terrible shot." You got to rate yourself. Now don't feel bad. Now, but be honest with it. But don't feel bad. You know, if you're shooting bad, the thing about it this way: somewhere in the world is the worst shot. You think about it? Somewhere out there in the world is the worst shot. And it probably is not you. Now, conversely, somewhere in the world is the best shot. And you're somewhere in between. You got to rate yourself, but be honest. And you don't have to tell everybody. You don't have to even tell your wife or your friends. But be honest with yourself and say, "My shooting stinks." And when you do that, then you're getting ready to get on the road for some improvement. But you got to be honest with yourself first.
Honesty is the basis, the groundwork from which all growth begins. No matter what it is in life you're talking about, honesty establishes the genesis for improvement in your marriage, family life, even your financial situation. You look at where you are, take an honest evaluation, and then you're ready to make the steps necessary for improvement, but not until you're honest. Same principle applies to hunting, in particular shooting. I can promise you no dramatic improvements will occur until you're absolutely honest about your abilities. Now let's look at this hunting sequence. Now this little Mississippi buck is about to bite the big weenie. Make no mistake about it. The skill factor needed to make this shot is very low. He's unaware that I'm in the blind. I've got a solid rest. He's broadside at 75 yards. He's not a trophy buck, so my adrenaline level is also low. This would be considered a chip shot, almost a gimme. Shots like this one offer no inherent problems whatsoever. Aiming and pulling the trigger is all that's left. In reality, there should be no reason whatsoever to miss this shot. And consequently, I don't. Now let's shift gears and get into a tougher situation. The purpose of showing this scene has nothing to do with ability in horn rattling, but rather shooting under pressure. Anytime you're horn rattling, bringing the deer to you, that's an intense moment. To top all that off, I'm black powder hunting, which means I'm going to have certain limitations, including only one shot. It all seems fairly innocent until Mr. Big Boy arrives on the scene and all heck breaks loose. Under pressure, when the heat's on, a huge buck is basically dumped in your lap and on the move. Could you make this shot? If your answer is yes, 10 out of 10 times, you're a better man than I am, I guarantee you. In all honesty, I would probably have to say 7 to 8 times out of 10. This hunt included some pretty intense moments and a lot of emotion. If you said 4 or 5 out of 10, I'd say that's actually still a little bit above average. If your answer is maybe, maybe not, that's okay, and it's a good beginning, and it's more than likely should be the most common and honest answer. And finally, if you said no way, forget it, then you really shouldn't even be attempting shots like this in the first place. That would be the best choice. Every hunting situation is different, and the degree of difficulty of the shot will always vary. But your attitude and ability to make easy or tough shots will largely depend just how good or bad a shot in actuality you really are. Now don't get me wrong, everybody misses from time to time, and we all need to be striving to improve our shooting skills unless you're the one who is the best shot in the world, and someone out there is, remember that. But until you're able to challenge for that ¡1 spot, first things first. Figure out just how well you do or don't shoot, and then be honest about it.
Jiminy Christmas, what a buck! Holy cow! Man, now that's what you call an 8.8 pointer. Holy Moses!